Welcome everyone, this is AndresRestart, and I need a Nintendo Direct, as many of you also do. I am recording this on February 12th, around 2ish p.m., and there's been no announcement for a Nintendo Direct. That is kind of frustrating, for sure. I was really hoping we'd get a lot of information from a Direct, and I'm sure that's right around the corner. Whenever it happens, it's gonna happen, and we're gonna get a slew of information, because we know pretty much nothing about the rest of the year. We know about Animal Crossing New Horizons and Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. That's it. In terms of games developed specifically by Nintendo, that's all we know about for the rest of the year. There's gotta be a lot more than that. Now what's it gonna be? And that sort of raises the question, will Breath of the Wild 2 come out this year? And as you can probably tell by the title, I'm predicting yes. I'm doubling down on my prediction from last year that that's still happening, despite what the rumors are suggesting as of late, that it may not be coming out this year. And that's the interesting thing, I guess, about this video, the point of this video. There have been a lot of rumor spreaders and leakers saying that there will be a Direct really soon, and people feel like they really bought into that, and we're here, and there's been no Direct, and people are disappointed, and a lot of rumor spreaders would have you believe that maybe Breath of the Wild 2 won't be coming out this year as well. But the point is, leaks aren't always true, and I'm not saying that the leakers that I sometimes talk about on the channel aren't valid, don't provide legitimate information. I think they do, but they also don't always get it right. That's simply the nature of the business. So I guess the theme of this video is about more relying on what makes sense logically and making estimated guesses or educated guesses on what could be happening, as opposed to entirely relying on different leaks that sometimes are true and sometimes are not. So, recently we got some leaks saying that Breath of the Wild 2 would not be coming out this year. Now, to be fully fair, the ones that were reporting that were Sabby on Twitter and Zippo on Reset Era, and they're not entirely convinced either. They are cynical of Breath of the Wild 2 coming out this year, but it's not set in stone from what they've heard. Okay. But before that, Sabby himself reported that Breath of the Wild 2 seems to be coming out this year. That was the internal plan. And then going back to last year, another supposed credible leaker, who has a different name on Reset Era now, said that Breath of the Wild 2 could be coming out this year, in so many words. The rumors have suggested before recently that Breath of the Wild 2 would be coming out this year, and now they're suggesting otherwise. Now, Nintendo hasn't confirmed any specific dates publicly, so we don't know for sure, but the point of this video is me predicting against the rumors as of late, saying that it will come out this year, because rumors aren't always true, even when they come from the credible sources. Here's a few great examples. Emily Rogers used to say that Mother 3 was happening, the Mother 3 localization. It never did, but Emily Rogers definitely has legitimate information, but she doesn't always get it right for whatever reason. Development is fluid, plans change, maybe she heard it slightly wrong. So many different possibilities, but the point is that's one of many different rumors that was coming from a very reliable source, and it wasn't true. Another one, Star Fox Grand Prix. I believe Eurogamer talked about that, and it never materialized into anything. Now, from what we've heard, it was just a hoax. Another great example, Switch Pro. A lot of analysts have been saying that Switch Pro would be coming out this year, that they were sure of it. Sure of it. And these are people with inside information. And they're wrong, because Nintendo, the president, Shuntaro Furukawa, at the recent quarterly earnings investors meeting, he said that there will be no Switch revisions this year. This is a planned statement to the investors. This wasn't some sort of PR speak where he had to lie on the spot. No, this was a planned statement. I'm pretty sure it's probably true. As much as I want a Switch Pro, it's probably not coming out this year. The point being that we've gotten information from credible sources in the past, and it's been wrong many of the time. So why can't it be the case this time as well? Hard to say for sure. Leaks are sometimes right, leaks are sometimes wrong. That's just the way it works. However, what we can rely on, though, is information that gives us educated guesses. Now, they're just educated guesses. They can still be wrong. That's what predictions are for. They may be true, they may be not. And my prediction is that Breath of the Wild 2 will still be coming out holiday 2020. Now, I made this prediction back last year as well, and the reasons for that, well, there's quite a few, actually. One of them being that Nintendo decided to reveal this game back at the end of the E3 2019 Direct presentation. There was no need for that. This reveal trailer came right after the incredibly exciting and Stuff of Dreams reveal for Banjo and Kazooie in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. That happened. We didn't need anything else beyond that. No one would have batted an eye, as I've been saying a lot lately. I don't think there was any need for that. Nintendo put that there despite all the other stuff they already had. I think that was for a reason. I think it was because they wanted to start building up hype for this game to come out this year. Now, to be fully fair, there was no release year in that trailer. And Zelda games do have a history of being delayed. But this is a different situation in my opinion. This is a sequel. A sequel using the same engine that they already spent so many years working on. The main reason that Breath of the Wild was delayed for so long was because the Zelda team was trying to get that physics engine to work appropriately to what they had in mind. They finally got it done. It took a couple extra years, but they got it done, and they are using that engine to make Breath of the Wild 2. Sequels are a lot easier to get done than the original base game because of the development of the engine. They now know exactly what they're doing with this game. They have the engine in place. That expedites the development process significantly. We're talking about at least a year, maybe 2. That's how much it can cut down on development time. So, given that, a 3-year development time is not really at all lofty when you already have an established engine and assets to build upon. And they started development for this game back in holiday 2017. That is confirmed information. And this game was decided to be made based off all the extra ideas they had after they worked on the DLC for Breath of the Wild. So they already had a lot of working ideas and assets in place to sort of build upon on top of the engine to make this game, and then they just started this with all that already in place back in holiday 2017. So if Breath of the Wild 2 were to come out holiday 2020, that would be 3 years from that point with all that already established. I think that's very, very feasible, and honestly I think it's really likely. So there's actually another example of this in Zelda history where we've seen a really quick turnaround for another Zelda game. Majora's Mask, and it's a very, very similar situation. The game used the same engine, same assets, and they built a whole new game in less than 2 years. That's what happened, and something similar could be happening here for Breath of the Wild 2. Now, the window between Breath of the Wild 1 and Breath of the Wild 2 is more than 3.5 years as opposed to the less than 2-year window between Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. So, it's not like we're expecting it to happen in less than 2 years. We're talking about over 3 years here for the game to actually come out. So I definitely think this is very possible for sure. But on top of that, that trailer was a story trailer. If you didn't know, typically in Zelda development, the story is worked on way later into development. It's a late development thing. And that trailer was a pretty extensive story trailer in my opinion. So if they already have story in mind for this game, they're already very late into development. So for those reasons, I definitely think this game is right around the corner, and I think if Nintendo revealed it back at E3 2019, their intent was for this game to come out at some point this year, especially with PS5 and Xbox Series X coming out. They're going to want something to come out to compete with the systems. Sure, they're not bringing out the Switch Pro, they're not going to directly compete with hardware, but they do want to have the spotlight. They do want to sell games, and I believe Breath of the Wild 2 is the appropriate game to have come out at that time to really maintain the spotlight and keep in the core gamers that might go over and spend their money on a PlayStation or Xbox instead during the holiday season. Now, some of you may say, well, the rumor suggested that we would be getting another major holiday game, and a lot of people believe that's going to be Mario Kart 9. That would be great. I love Mario Kart, and I hope both those things happen, but Mario Kart 9 wouldn't have the same kind of impact. Mario Kart 9 would be coming to the system, and we already have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is what helped to push sales. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is approaching 23 million in sales. It probably is already past that at this point, and that is incredible. But if they were to add a Mario Kart 9, I really don't feel like Mario Kart 9 would push more sales for the system. I don't think it would have that much more impact. The way Mario Kart is, it's kind of one of those things where you get one per system. So seeing a second Mario Kart on the same system is going to be a unique situation, and I'm really curious how that's going to sort of materialize into sales in the real world. It may push systems, but from my perspective, I feel like it won't really push as many systems as the initial Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Now, to be totally fair, Breath of the Wild 2 is a sequel to Breath of the Wild 1, is there really a need to have another Breath of the Wild to push sales for the Switch as well? Well, maybe to some that would work, but with Mario Kart it would be kind of like the Mario Kart experience on the Switch, and then with Zelda, they're almost like two different experiences. That's the way I sort of see it. Maybe that's just my own opinion. Maybe other people will see it differently. But the other thing I'm thinking here, if we only get Mario Kart and we don't get another big single-player immersive experience to really sort of throw ourselves into, that would be pretty disappointing. 2017 was an incredible year because we got Mario Kart and Splatoon and ARMS, but we also got Xenoblade Chronicles, Mario Odyssey, and Breath of the Wild. Notice how some of those games are big multiplayer social kind of games, while the others are big single-player games that are these immersive experiences that you can really sort of throw yourself into and get lost in those worlds. If we get Mario Kart and there's no sort of big immersive experience on the Switch in 2020, I think that will definitely leave people disappointed, myself included, and that's the kind of experience that could help sort of steer some core gamers away from buying a PS5 or an Xbox Series X and just focusing on Zelda on the Switch for the year. So I think there's a need for that, and I personally would be disappointed if we don't get it. Excluding 2017, we didn't get that much of it in 2018 or 2019. I guess like the closest thing in terms of something from Nintendo would be, I guess, Fire Emblem Three Houses, but it's not really like an open world environment that you can explore. It's just a mission-based strategy game with a really awesome story. So I really want a big fantasy open world to get lost in from Nintendo this year. I hope it's Breath of the Wild 2. Some of you may bring up Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and I think that's fair, but that's an HD remake. I want a brand new experience, and I'm hoping we see that this year, and I think that makes sense for the reasons I talked about. There's already an established engine, it's a sequel, it was a story trailer, and that typically is something we see late into development. They showed it off back at E3 2019 when there was no need to do so. Looking at all the other games that have come out on the Switch, the release to reveal window is not really that long, save for Metroid Prime 4 where the development was restarted. I think there's a very likely chance that we see the game come out this year. Not to mention, before the latest rumors, there were a lot of rumors saying that the internal plan was for the game to come out this year. And then on top of that, there are other industry insiders that still, even now, after those rumors have come out, that still think the game could be coming out this year. For example, Per Strander from IGN, and also Tim Geddes from the Kind of Funny Games cast. I'll link to where they sort of talked about this in the description below, but the point is, there are people with insider information that still think the game could be coming out this year. So, I think the game still has a great chance to come out this year. I think it makes sense. I think that's what Nintendo needs to come out with for the big holiday title. I think if they were to come out with something else that isn't along the lines of a Breath of the Wild, would be a missed opportunity. So while it may be possible the game could be delayed internally, I'm thinking that Nintendo will find a way to get the job done in time, and the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild will be coming out this year. That's my prediction. I'm doubling down on it despite what the leaks are suggesting. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, everyone, this is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Take care.